it's the people who don't. We have a growing concern about solar fields. Do they become solar landfills when the solar panels reach their expiration date? We're taking nuclear power off. We want to get off fossil fuels, but we're not keeping up with the environmental aspect. Cleanup of the river. That's a huge issue, been going on for 20 or 30 years. It's now hitting my district from Pittsfield, Lenox, Lee, and beyond down to the Connecticut line. Those are impacts that we have to have, and we have to protect the environment that we have. Bill Wild, whose family owned Highland Farm for years, he told me something. He said, "City beauty is more valuable than your rate." And I paused for a moment and said that, and our beauty is more important than a oil well in Saudi Arabia. Just let that sink in for a minute and say, you know what? If we don't protect our one amazing asset, our natural beauty, shame on all of us for doing this. So we got to find that balance of how we get transportation, highways, and how we deal with windmills or solar farms. How do we protect that natural beauty, which really draws a lot of people here from all over the world? So we have a lot of work to do. How young people get involved? Pay attention. Get involved. Don't be afraid to stop. Sure to vote and weigh in. Think about that next generation. What do you want the to look like when you age or start laying out right now, because climate change, if we wait 5 years, we have to do it.
That's great. Thank you. On a local level and also level, well, so running. We're seeing women is running and these changes.
I think it's great. It's great. I turned off cable news during the cable favors. Watch the network news, ABC, CBS, whatever. In a half an hour, I learn about things going on in the world, and every single half-hour newscast ends on a positive story. If I turn on the cable news, hour after hour after hour, it's nauseous to listen to everything that Donald Trump is tweeting out. I wish we had the collective discipline to ignore the president, despite his craziness, and hold our Congress more accountable. I think our Congress needs to be doing some things. The treaties in the world, the last few days, the events of the week, a serious mental health issue, the young kids, fire and bill. There's some point on the opioid epidemic. These are all local issues that we had to pay more attention to, but we just keep getting Donald Trump drilled into our head. I don't think it's helping matters much. I think we have to get our Congress to pay attention to cybersecurity. We have to address the poverty in this country. We have to address the renewable energy in this country. We have to make sure that our borders are protected. I'm not advocating a wall, but for the life of me, I don't understand how my grandparents could come here in the early 1900s from Italy and be processed to become American citizens. But an immigrant coming to America today, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years from now, there's still 20 pages to become a U.S. doesn't make a lot of sense. Give them minutes. They have to go to a police station today and give them information and do a court background check. Your whole history in a couple of days. Why we can't process information? Congress has to infrastructure, roads, our bridges, our hospitals. Earth still leave, so we need to try to address.
Yeah. Sure. So throughout our American history classes, we address the question, what does it mean to be American? So how would you respond to this question?
Wow, that's a great question. I think we all have an obligation to understand how this country got formed, why it got formed. We are continuing to be a melting pot. People who came to this land for a better life. When I think of the sacrifice that so many veterans have made, my name is Smitty. I'm named after a friend who killed in World War II. The impact and the hopes and dreams that people like my name, your age, all went away because of the war. But freedom, and I think we have to be alive and we did before us. So we can be in the Lenox High School talking about policy and what our future looks like. So I think we all have an obligation to protect and preserve and defend the Constitution. And we're going to have our disagreements. That's the beauty of America. You think about this Constitution. Name me another country in the world that would have unrest or a president resigning office without unrest happening or military takeovers. We have stood the test of time. Every 4 or 8 years, we get a new leader. We had a president resign in disgrace in 1974. Then back at work. 9/11. When I was at the there was only one computer that actually had internet. We had planes flying into the World Trade Center. They work. What did the next? We went back. We took their best. So resilient. We comes by our differences. It takes leadership to do that. But I can't agree that people had the United States. Still have a lot of work to do. I think racial tension in this country is real. I think we have to recognize and value people's differences. But I think it's an amazing country, and I can't imagine living anywhere else.
I agree with you on that. And you previously mentioned that the demographics of Berkshire County is changing. The population is getting older, and there's kind of become a clash between different ideas. How do you think that the older population and the younger population can kind of work together to agree on things?
I think both should understand different for people. This is when grandparents were age. I think I was growing up at this General Electric paper mill. 4,000 worked at paper mills in Lee, Massachusetts. Down to 5,000, but 4,000 people work there. We have one paper mill left. It's called Onyx Paper. Employs about 150 people. It's going strong. You think about northern Berkshire County, Sprague Electric employed 3,000 people. Overnight, they just shut down. Half of the population of the employees who worked at Sprague Electric didn't even have a high school diploma. So it's taking time to kind of revitalize that city, but it's a different economy now. Now, when GE was in Pittsfield, we had this place called Tanglewood. It was nice to see them come on the 4th of July, but as natives, we couldn't wait for them to leave come Labor Day. Now we're seeing them make some major capital investments to stretch that season. They spent $40 million, and it's the only that actually has heating and economic opportunity off-season and to do it's Berkshire, it's Sheffield Plastic. These are the occupations of the future that we didn't 40. It's a different economy. What young people's interests are. Young, how these older people should be built from. So, education, information, it's going to make the Berkshire special.
Yeah, the Berkshire is so special. What would you say is Berkshire County's most important asset, and maybe what is something that the area is lacking?
I would say the important asset right now still is the people. I would say people first. It's an interesting group of people. It's very different. We didn't have a choice when I was your age. That helps schools. The diversity of a school is very different today than when my friend when we were age 100 years ago. I guess it's important. I think understanding cultures is larger today than it was when I was your age. the different cultures, the philosophies or beliefs, nothing but or to college and finding people of color or people who maybe have some sexual identity challenges. These are just natural things. My daughter has a girl she grew up with, went to Lenox High School. I follow her on Facebook, and she changed her name. And I said, Anna, I says, what's going on with Emily? He says, Dad, she's transitioning. For the young generation, this is normal, and it's okay. It's okay. It's like the computers. Young people are computer natives. Older people like me are the computer immigrants. It takes a little bit longer to learn to understand things. Guys, not a big deal. I think that rich diversity, I think, I don't know, natural environment, that if we don't, down USA, with my friends out here, just here, and you planted them all. Oh, they always, it's so natural. There's no place in the country. And I cross country with my daughter a few years ago. I traveled places in this country, but not here.
Thank you. Could you talk about some legislation that you're working on or have worked on that excites you? Yeah,
I've really been very interested in the opioid epidemic, and not only in the Commonwealth, but especially here in the Berkshires. It's a serious problem. Narcan, naloxone, it helps people who overdose. Right now, police departments are not required to carry Narcan. So I heard a story of a town in the Berkshires where a police officer with an overdose surrounded by of the overdose Narcan to a run that would file a bill by all safety officials fire carry Narcan. And a lot of times we still have the professional police departments or fire departments in many of our communities. Lenox, I don't include Pittsfield or North Adams in this conversation because those are cities. Lenox is the only town in all of Berkshire County that has professional 24/7 police, fire, and ambulance. That's pretty telling. Why we have an opioid epidemic and have our first responders not carrying Narcan, a life-saving measure. Boston carries it, the state police carry it, Pittsfield does not, Great Barrington carries it, North Adams carries it, Dalton carries it, Beckett, not. You know, system policies across the state, bills here require that. That's good. Is one life saved or day towards giving that young person an opportunity to sober life. But it's not just a young person. With clear information, while overdoses from 20 to 20 years, we doses for this every. So this is a society problem. People have to understand opioid addiction is real. When you can cheaper than a 6-pack of beer, that sends the wrong message to people what we're trying to do. But it goes back to the mental health issue. What does it take for that young boy that I talked about earlier who became a heroin addict after having a stellar high school career as an athlete? Why did he turn to that? What was going on in that young person's life that we could have identified early on in school, maybe in middle school, and beyond to avoid that situation? Mental health is real. I think we have to break down that stigma of what mental health is. Mental health is not just drug addiction. Mental health is, bipolar. Mental health is depression. Mental health has many different forms. We have to understand what mental health and get to the going forward. I'm really passionate about that too.
About in your opinion, the value of education, why would you encourage students to further their studies?
I think it's critically important. I think, if you heard the phrase, the more you learn, the more you earn. I think that's very true. When my daughter went to college, I think one of the key things I think was really important, and for the seniors here looking at colleges, look at colleges that require internships. I think the exposure to internships are critically important. The brochures always look beautiful. The websites always look beautiful. Go visit a college campus. You know, my daughter felt it when she stepped on a college campus, and she did feel it on others. If you had a vision on the film, easy about it with you, because I couldn't imagine what job she was going to get. I wanted to go to be a struggling actor, working a few late months, but she got exposed to an internship. It kind of softened me. Sophomore year internship. About it. And it was a long internship. Dr. Phil show. The production. Dr. Phil. And we always treat every internship as a job interview. What it's going to lead to, you never know who you're going to meet and shoot to the right way. So when she got done at Christmas time that year, they said to her, when you graduate in May, if you want a job, we'll have one waiting for you. So she graduated college in May. We drove cross country. She worked for the last 2 years on the Dr. Phil show, and she's working now on the Steve Harvey show. So I think those connections gave her opportunities, but I really give a lot of credit to the internships. Make them legitimate, because we all think we want to do certain things in our careers, but if you don't realize that until your junior or senior year, it's not what I thought it was going to be, or maybe it's better than it was going to be. Internships that get to that, it's better than it's going to be. And do a nice career.
How long do you plan on continuing to hold public office? What still needs to be done for you to finally feel as if your job has been completed?
My job will never be completed. This is my 31st year of elected office in different forms. It's a 2-year job. It's a temporary job. I work hard every day to do good things and convince people. I'm not one to believe that your families who are voting, and hopefully you'll be voters when you become 18, will vote for me as well. But I want a politician or elected official that's going to really want every single thing. My dad always say, if everything has somebody homework, so let's be respectful and disagree. I get your card. I get your card every day, every 2 days, and whether it's one vote or 5 votes, it's pass or fail. It's very simple. My job is very simple, but as long as I feel effective, I still have that fire in me, and I still, but at the same time, it'll be time for someone else to carry public service is important. As long as I feel doing good things, I'm going to do.
We hope to.
Okay, we're going to wrap up with this last question. What advice would you give to students who are interested in politics?
Get involved. Don't be obsessed with the national level politics. The biggest impact you can make, I truly believe still, is at local level. It's more personal, it's more connected. Careful what news you watch. You know, you hear a lot about fake news. I think there is some bad news out there. I think Facebook and Twitter are not the areas you want to get news from. A lot of people you follow, especially on Twitter, I love to follow a lot of papers, but I really do not watch cable. I get more news from news. In this case, positive, what's going on. Flip over to Jeopardy. I realize I'm after all, but I try to get information that way. Young people, get involved. Don't be afraid to raise your hand, ask questions, and expect more of your elected officials. Local level, state level, and at our federal level. I think good things will happen when young people get involved, but you can't get involved unless you register to vote. You can't get involved unless you register to vote and then vote. I think it's really important. 18 to 24 is the largest demographic in America that is not even registered to vote. So you can't just sit on the sidelines and complain, and get involved and make a difference.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.